Hello. Well, we began the quarter of mutation with a lot of hot stuff that is happening. So did anyone ask for mutation and it didn't get? Okay, so my morning began with a friend that wrote me that Leonard Cohen just left us. And for me, it was, I'm still in a little shock. I mean, it takes time for me to digest it, so I can go on with this, but if I had a little time, I would make some tribute for him, but because he was really one of my favorite artists, and he has he had the 10th gate in the second line in his cross. He was a 6-2, it was in the unconscious, and he was such an amazing example for accepting death, because it's interesting because, you know, last year when we were talking about accepting death, it was David Bowie who died, and he also had this strong accepting death stuff. And Leonard Cohen, I like to listen to live shows, and there's one live show in London where he apologized about still being alive. He said he has done his part, and it's so beautiful to really to die accepting your fulfillment and being content. It's really inspiring. So bye-bye, Leonard Cohen. And we are going to look at the very transformative week that we had and that we are going to have. And I will talk, of course, about what happened, the mutation, the new mutative direction that humanity is going through after the elections. But first of all, let's see what's happening in this week, our very mutative, transformative week. So it began a few hours ago. The sun entered the 43rd gate, the gate of breakthrough, and the gate of breakthrough, its opposition is the gate of assimilation, which together they form the channel of structuring, the design of individuality, and this is the channel that we call genius to freak. So all of us are going to be genius to freaks. It's going to affect us, and we never forget that we have the channel of community in our background frequency, the big one and the small one, background frequency. So let's see what a very, very mutative and an ongoing transformational week we are going to have. So the gate of insight, breakthrough. In order for achievement to be maintained, a new order must be fairly established. So I don't know if the new order is fairly established, but new orders certainly comes. I mean, it looks as if it's a new order, but it's not. It's just one little step to show us that the program just goes on and the cross of planning is breaking down, and we will talk about it in the end. This gate is one of the 3 deafness gates. It's a deaf gate. It's a gate that doesn't want to listen to outside influence, and of course that's why the whole channel is a deaf channel. And it's really about individual innovative insights that come out of the individual mental process that is about translating this acoustic weird mind into words. And that's why this channel is part of the cross of explanation, because these people who carry this channel need to know how to explain themselves, otherwise they are perceived as freaks. If they do explain themselves in a way that the collective and the tribe can understand, then they look as if they're genius, because they really bring something new, innovative, efficiency, to whatever they talk about. Now it is anchored in the gate of splitting apart, yes, assimilation. And this is a very beautiful gate. Look at the line: amorality, the awareness and understanding which leads to the acceptance of diversity. Now this is very, very important to look at it, or inspiring to look at it in the context of what's happening. If we look at the mutation, and this is an individual channel, if we look at the new mutative direction that humanity is going through because of the cross of planning that is going down, breaking down, we have the possibility, the opportunity to look at what's happening not in a moral way. It's not interesting. The private life of Donald Trump are not interesting because he's not the point. It's not about him. It's exactly as it wasn't about Hitler. It's not that I compare, but I do in a way, because both of them are just, they just show us that they are pawns in the great plan. It's not in the great program. It's not about him or Hillary or, Obama. It's just about the situation that we are in, the cross of planning that is falling apart, and all the things that happened according to this, following this, these huge cracks. And it's really, it's a shattering. It's not cracks anymore. It's a shattering. So yes, we have to accept our diversity, and we are not there yet. We are in the war. The mind is fighting for itself. The seven-centered consciousness is still fighting. And the new consciousness arises this way or another, and this is the fight, this is the war between the old and the new. So as a transit, we can look at this channel and understand that this channel of structuring is a deaf channel, and its voice, the voice of the 23rd gate, is I know. It doesn't mean that the person who says that knows, but they feel they know, yes, and this is the voice that comes, and we will all be influenced by this. This is a very strong global conditioning pattern. It's individual, it's creative, it's melancholic, and we have this emotional ego in the background, so together it's going to be very, very interesting. But this is just the beginning. We said mutation, we said transformation. Let's see what's going on. So Venus entered the 10th gate, and it's about the behavior of the self. And of course, all the people that have the 20th, the 57th, and the 34 gates, they are going to be connected, and their open G, if they have an open G, will be lightened up. But it's also interesting to see how our the new world leader has a completely open G. So this is really about taking in all kind of identities and behaviors, and we can see that he doesn't know really how to behave. It's funny. Okay, today the sun, the moon is going to get to enter the 17th gate, and we are all going to have a lot of very innovative individual opinions about the tribe and the collective and everything that is happening. And then the moon will jump into the gate of control, biting through, and and of course, because of the global conditioning pattern of the ajna and the throat and the ego and the solar plexus, all the gates that are being activated in these centers will be part of the global conditioning pattern. So the gate of control is going, the controlling emotional ego with the mind that knows, that thinks it knows, going to be very strong together. Then from there, the moon moves to the gate of shock. So, you know, we are already shocked, but we are going to have some more, I think. Then Venus with Mercury. Mercury is going to get into the gate of might, the gate of power in the sacral, the 34th gate. And with Venus together, they form the channel of exploration, a design of following your own convictions, very, very individual channel. And the transits show us a triple split configuration, and we are going to be very influenced, of course, when the sacral is also activated. We have the 5th gate, the gate of fixed rhythms, and we have the 42nd gate, the gate of endings, growth, all of this. So we are going to be very, very influenced, because there is hardly no one that this configuration doesn't touch their chart personally. So as a global conditioning pattern, this is really strong. This is two very individual channels, a lot of melancholy. Don't take it personally. And then, talking about melancholy, then the moon is going to enter the 3rd gate, the gate of ordering difficulties at the beginning, the gate that brings the new into the old. And again, this is so relevant to where we are. We are in this really interregnum, yes, between the old and the new, and this is so strong. And this gate really shows us how difficult it is to be in this situation between the old and the new. Then the moon enters the 27th gate, the gate of nurturing. In the sacral, again, it will be activated for all of us. We would feel it. Those with gate 50 are going to feel it strongly. And people who are very open in their charts, all these strong configurations are going to be a strong influence. And please, I encourage you to be very aware of strategy and authority in these days. And then the moon will enter the gate of returning, the gate of rationalization that is in the ajna and part of the individual mental stream. So the pressure to know the unknown and translate it and follow our own convictions and be in the bargain, in the emotional bargain, all this is going to be strong. And then, it's so beautiful, so many individual individual gates and channels. Now the 2nd gate, the gate of the driver, the gate of the higher knowing, the direction of the self, yes, and we are here, and there will be a lot of knowing and talking about direction and about is the bargain is fair, and is this our direction, and do we follow our convictions? Oh, and then in the 14th, oh, beautiful, the gate of contribution, and which is also very individual, and Venus is going to be in the role model line of the G center. So we have here our creative role model that shows us how the new leaders behave and what we should follow. Unbelievable. And then the gate of the now, the 20th gate, creates for us almost the whole integration field, almost. Mercury and Venus and the moon together form the channel of charisma, the channel of exploration, the channel of awakening. And all the people who have the 57th are going to be very integrated. And then from then, an interesting move, 16th gate creates with Jupiter, the moon in the 16th create with Jupiter the channel of the wavelength, the channel of talents. And it's, again, interesting, 4 channels, 4 defined channels as a global conditioning pattern. Very, very difficult to avoid that. Venus is going to leave the 10th gate and enter into the 58th gate. And this is beautiful. This is the gate of the joyous. This is the fuel for the stream of taste, the stream of correcting and bringing this correction to manifestation. And it's going to create a very strong pressure on the 18th, the gate of correction itself. And those who have the 18th, especially if it's a hanging gate, dormant potential or whatever, are going to become the manifestors of correction. So really, really be careful. And this all goes to the throat with the channel structuring. Oh my God. We really need to be very careful and be anchored in our strategy and authority. And of course, it can also bring beautiful things. I mean, you can just sit near a piano suddenly, and you would, for 10 hours, know how to play it. And then the last journey, the last place that the moon in his journey this week is going to enter is the gate of change, the gate of progress. And again, we really hope that this is going to be progress. Change, it is. We don't know about the progress, but yes, again, we are going to have pressure on the human experiential way because Mars is in the gate of fantasy, in the pressure to experience, the 41st gate in the root center. And then we have the desire and crisis are being pressed there to be fulfilled. Well, we all know that we have our anchor. So really going to experience a very, very mutative and transformative week. And we can't ignore the Trump formation we had in this transformational week. It's unbelievable. I mean, the beauty about this is that the old me would be shocked out of that. But the thing is that I just see it as a movie, not because I'm detached, but because this is where the program is going. I mean, again, Donald Trump is not the issue here. He was just the perfect pawn in the game. That's all. And it's like Hitler that couldn't do anything without people around him. That's the same thing. We don't know where it's going to go, but I have my my picture, the way I see it, my assumptions. Yes, that as I see it, the transformative process that we are going through is really, really frightening. It is like death, and it's the shattering of the cross of planning. It's not a personal transformation, it's a global transformation, it's a global mutation that is happening. And in order to go through this, all the old concepts that we are captured in need to die. And one of the biggest concepts that we are really trapped in is that there is a way that somebody from the outside would save us, that there will be a leader that we all follow, and he would bring the world to a new order. Now, this doesn't work. It doesn't matter that people look for somebody strong and expect this to happen. It's not going to happen. And in Israel, we see this for a long time. You really need to be an Israeli to understand what's happening here, because from the outside it looks different, but it's not new. What happens in the US happens here for many, many years. We have people that call themselves leadership, but they can't lead. And it's not their fault. It's just that nobody can lead, no one, nowhere. That's the thing. There is no leadership. It's not possible anymore. And that's why the conflict is so strong, because people are still captured or being attached to this concept of somebody will come and save us from our problems, and they believe that there are problems instead of looking inward and having their own authority. But it can't work if you don't have the inner authority. You can't have an inner anchor, because what happens is that the phoenix, the sleeping phoenix, in order for it to wake up, it needs to die first. So if we don't die as humanity, if we don't die to what we are, how do you say, to what we are used to as a whole species, if we don't die, there's chaos, because we need to die in order for us to reborn. And if we don't die, there's a chaos, because the new is coming. Nobody asks us. The new is coming, and the new is very, very individual and doesn't care for anything but its own survival. Now, we are used to the tribe and the collective as huge forces here, and these two forces are shattering, and they don't accept their shattering. They don't accept death. It's unbelievable. So the whole situation brings humanity still to look very, very in an urgent way for salvation from the outside. But on the other hand, there is this bursting of individuality and taking the law to one's own hand, and these two forces together are really, really chaotic, and people don't get it. They just don't get it, and their mind is freaking out. Now, in this situation, of course, the true leadership that can come is a projector leadership, but the world is not ready yet for it. So the projectors, even if some of them are elected this way or another, and we had a good example of a projector that was the president of the United States, but he wasn't a total projector, and of course, nobody is still ready for this. So it's not about the person, it's about humanity as a whole not ready yet for the true, correct, up-to-date leadership. We are still looking as a whole for the manifestor energy that will come very strong, and that's what Donald Trump represents. He is very powerful man, and he's powerful because he has a lot of money, and money is a symbol for power in the Western world. And of course we know it's bullshit, but that's the seven-centered consciousness that still rules. So we see how the old and the new just have such a huge war inside of humanity. Now, of course, this situation of chaos encourages the fundamentalist religious movements, and of course the racism. This is exactly the thing. All this hatred and all this trying to find somebody to blame, this is again things that are getting very, very strong and very extreme because of this shattering. This is what we don't stay on a stable ground. We don't stand on a stable ground anymore, and the mind is freaking out. If we're talking about genius to freak, freaks out, doesn't know what to do. It's unbelievable. And again, there is the drive, or the pressure of the individualism inside of us to get out is trying to be manipulated by the seven-centered consciousness of the leadership. So it's really very interesting just to watch it. And for the first time, I'm not devastated, I'm not afraid, I'm not shocked, I'm just looking at it, and it's so interesting to watch. I mean, it's better than any series that I'm watching, and of course, that's the best reality show we can have. This is a reality show, and this is about cracking the code of the Maya, and this is about mutation and transformation, and of course, again, accepting death, because There's nothing else to accept but the death of the old. And the only thing in this chaotic situation, and it's only the beginning of the crack, yes, it's only the beginning. The only thing that will anchor us and will protect us is our Holy Trinity, the strategy that this is our armor. There's a war outside, a war between the seven-centered consciousness and the emergence of the new. This is a very, very difficult war that shows itself both personally in our lives and, of course, globally. And the only thing that can help individuals, we're not going to save the world, we're not going to save our communities, our religions, nothing. We can be only, in a very enlightened selfishness, as Ra had this amazing phrase that I really connect to, enlightened selfishness. We have our strategy as our armor. We have our inner authority or decision-making process as our inner compass. We can't be in this world. We can't navigate correctly without these two. And of course, what really keeps us more and more in this journey, in this trajectory towards who we are and towards our path, our own personal correct path, is sleeping alone in our own aura. I know I'm repeating myself, but what to do? The truth is very simple if we just want to act on it, just embrace it, just surrender to it. I love you, and I hope we meet again and we continue our transformative and mutative journey. Bye-bye.